According to Professor Eleanor Whitmore, the way people see you is rarely shaped by what you say. It is shaped by what you quietly do when no one expects it. Most people believe respect comes from speaking confidently, proving intelligence, or trying to impress others. But in reality, the strongest impressions are formed in silence. People are always observing, always measuring, always deciding without telling you. And this is where everything begins to change. The first silent behavior is controlled reactions. When something unexpected happens, most people respond instantly. They defend, explain, or react emotionally without thinking. But the moment you pause, even for a few seconds, you create a completely different signal. That pause communicates control. It tells people that you are not easily shaken, that you think before you respond, and that you are not desperate to be understood or accepted. Most people miss this. They think quick responses show confidence, but in truth, calm delay shows power. Watch what happens next time someone challenges you. If you don't rush to respond, they begin to rethink their approach, because now they are no longer in control of the moment. And that changes everything. The second silent behavior is not over-explaining yourself. People often feel the need to justify their actions, decisions, or boundaries. They explain too much, hoping others will understand them better and accept them. But in reality, the more you explain, the more you reduce your perceived value. Because over-explaining signals doubt and uncertainty. When you say something and stand by it without adding layers of justification, people sense certainty. They feel that you do not need approval to exist in your own decisions. This is where respect quietly begins. Most people miss this as well. They believe clarity requires long explanations, but true clarity is often simple, direct, and firm. Say less, mean more, and observe how differently people respond to you over time. The third silent behavior is maintaining steady eye contact without intensity. Eye contact is one of the most powerful nonverbal signals you have, but there is a difference between controlled eye contact and forced staring that feels unnatural. When your gaze is calm, steady, and natural, it communicates presence and awareness. It shows that you are fully engaged, fully aware, and not intimidated by the situation or the person in front of you. On the other hand, avoiding eye contact or overcompensating with aggressive staring creates discomfort and imbalance. People instantly read these signals, even if they don't consciously realize it. This is where perception begins to shift. A calm gaze suggests confidence. It suggests that you are not seeking validation nor avoiding judgment. And in that balance, people begin to see you differently. The fourth silent behavior is becoming comfortable with silence in conversations. Most people rush to fill silence. They speak quickly to avoid awkwardness. They add unnecessary words just to keep the flow going and to avoid being judged. But silence is not weakness. Silence is space. When you allow moments of quiet to exist without panic, you create a subtle tension that changes the dynamic completely. And within that tension, people become more aware of you and your presence. They start to listen more carefully. They become more attentive to what you say next. This is where respect changes. Because the person who controls silence often controls the direction of the conversation without forcing it. And the deeper truth is this: people are not just listening to your words, they are responding to your presence and emotional control. And presence is not built through noise. It is built through control, restraint, awareness, and the ability to remain steady when others feel the need to react. Observe carefully. People reveal more than they say. And once you begin to understand this, something shifts. You stop trying to control how people see you, and instead, you start controlling how you show up. Because the truth is, respect is not forced. It is quietly earned through patterns people notice over time. The fifth silent behavior is setting boundaries without announcing them. Most people think boundaries need to be explained clearly and repeatedly. They believe others will only respect limits if they are spoken loudly. But real boundaries are not declared. They are demonstrated. When you simply choose not to engage in something that feels wrong without over-explaining or creating drama, people take note. You do not argue, you do not convince, you simply adjust your actions. And this is where the shift happens. Because when people see that your behavior is consistent, they begin to understand your limits without being told. Most people miss this. They keep explaining their boundaries, but fail to enforce them through action. And that is why they are not taken seriously. The sixth silent behavior is not reacting to subtle disrespect. Disrespect is not always loud. It often appears in small ways: a dismissive tone, a delayed response, a slight interruption. Most people react immediately. They defend themselves, confront the situation, or show visible irritation. But when reacting instantly gives the other person control, because now they have influenced your emotional state. When you remain composed, when you notice the behavior but choose not to react impulsively, you create uncertainty. This is where respect begins to form. Because people expect reactions. They expect you to respond the way most do. But when you stay calm, when you choose your response carefully, or sometimes choose not to respond at all, you shift the power dynamic. And the deeper truth is this: emotional control is far more intimidating than emotional expression. People may not admit it, but they respect those they cannot easily provoke. The seventh silent behavior is moving with purpose, even in small actions. Every movement you make communicates something. The way you walk, the way you sit, the way you pick up your phone, the way you turn your head during a conversation. Most people move without awareness. Their actions are rushed, scattered, or reactive. But when your movements are calm and deliberate, it creates a completely different impression. It signals that you are present, that you are not rushed by the environment or controlled by external pressure. Most people miss this. They focus only on words, but long before you speak, your body has already said something. When your actions are calm and purposeful, people subconsciously assign more value to your presence. They assume you are in control, even if you say nothing at all. And this is where perception deepens. Because now it is not just about how you respond, it is about how you exist in the moment. And once people start noticing these patterns, their behavior toward you begins to change. They become more careful, more attentive, more respectful. Not because you demanded it, but because you demonstrated something rare: consistency without noise, control without effort, presence without pressure. And this is what most people never fully understand. Respect is not built in a single moment. It is built in the small, silent behaviors that repeat over time. Behaviors that most ignore, but a few master completely. And when you master them, you no longer need to ask for respect, because it is already being given quietly before you even realize it. And by the time you reach this point, the pattern becomes impossible to ignore. The way people respond to you has already started to shift, even if nothing about your words has changed. Because what they are reacting to is not what you say, but how consistently you embody control in your presence. The eighth silent behavior is knowing when to walk away without explanation. Most people stay longer than they should. They tolerate situations that drain them, hoping things will improve, or fearing how leaving might be perceived by others around them. But staying in the wrong environment slowly lowers how others value you over time. When you choose to walk away calmly, without creating a scene or seeking validation, it sends a powerful signal. It shows that you value your time, your attention, and your energy more than temporary approval from others. And this is where respect deepens, because people notice what you are willing to leave behind without hesitation. Most people miss this. They think endurance builds respect, but in reality, selective absence builds mystery, curiosity, and long-term value. When you are not always available, your presence becomes more meaningful and more noticed, and people begin to treat you accordingly without needing to be told anything directly. The ninth silent behavior is listening more than you speak. In most conversations, people are not truly listening. They're waiting for their turn to talk, preparing responses while the other person is still speaking and expressing themselves. But when you genuinely listen, without interrupting, without rushing to respond, something changes in the interaction. People feel it immediately. They feel seen, understood, and valued in a way they aren't used to experiencing in normal conversations. And because of that, they begin to associate your presence with clarity, depth, and emotional intelligence. Most people underestimate this completely. They believe speaking more makes them appear confident and important. But controlled silence, paired with attentive listening, creates a stronger and deeper impression. Because the person who listens carefully gathers more information, understands more context, and responds with precision instead of reacting emotionally. This is where quiet intelligence reveals itself without effort. And over time, people start to respect not just what you say, but how you choose to engage in every interaction. The 10th silent behavior is emotional consistency. Many people are unpredictable. Their mood changes based on circumstances, opinions, or external validation they receive from others around them. One moment they are calm, the next they are reactive and unstable. This inconsistency creates uncertainty, and uncertainty weakens respect in subtle but powerful ways. But when your emotional state remains steady, regardless of what is happening around you, people begin to trust your presence more deeply. They know what to expect. They feel that you are grounded, not easily influenced, and not easily shaken by external pressure. Most people miss this. They focus on controlling others instead of controlling themselves first. But true influence comes from internal stability and emotional awareness. When you remain the same, whether situations are good or challenging, you create a sense of reliability that is rare in today's world, and